Yo, JD here, Limitless, and we are finally back again on F1 2019, and this time I'm doing something that I haven't done in a little while. Normally I race against real players, but today we are going to go against the 110% AI round Silverstone, and I just basically wanted to see how fast they were, how difficult they were, what the racing was like, just something a little bit different really, to be honest. And using the stock setup, although it said 50% there, we are going to be doing a 25% race. And my plan is to do this around pretty much most tracks. Might even do Monaco next. Maybe do it as a 50% in fact to see how we get on. And as I said, running a complete default setup. The only thing I'm changing is just the front brake bias and perhaps the differential on the MFD. But apart from that, you can see we retired from the one-shot qualifying. Started last here. We're going to let them go after the 5 lights. Not reacting to it. That isn't my natural reaction, but we're just going to let them go a little bit, let them crash into each other in the first corner, and off we go. And I'm going to show this entire race just to hopefully give an insight to see how fast they really are, and also to a lot of people to just really talk about what I'm thinking about when going around this track. Just some tips with the fuel and the ERS and just general driving itself, as I completely corner cut and lose the car already straight away. But yeah, just basically just give you an insight of what I think about when I'm driving. And yes, I have updated my camera settings. They should be in the description down below, so if you want to use those, a shout out to Dominic Hoffman who gave me these. They're really nice and gives me much better visibility. But yes, 110 AI here, going down the inside of Kvyat and making a little bit of contact. And this AI, you have to be incredibly decisive when you overtake them, because if you just do a half-hearted move, they will turn in pretty much like you are not even there, and sometimes they can cause some very big accidents. But first lap, we've already made up 7 positions, and now we're going to see, hopefully as they start spreading out, what the true pace really is. And remember, I haven't got on a setup, and typically a setup, especially in race trim, I'd say it's about half a second a lap quicker or something like that. So yeah, it'd be quite interesting here now. But you can see we're using the manual ERS and we've got into the rich fuel mix, and I try and avoid using overtake and hot lap as much as possible. So we go down the inside of Raikkonen, managing to spot the brakes and not really lock up too much into here now. Feel much more comfortable back on these pedals as well, and just get some good traction off here. But putting it up to hot lap, and then very quickly we're going to put it down again to high, and then back down to 0 ERS. So just give you a little bit of a boost off the corners, but you really do have to manage it quite well, especially around this track, because the ERS does go around pretty quickly. But if you're in the slipstream with someone, it's quite easy to stay with them. But if you can get out of the DRS zone of someone and then apply the ERS, it will give you over a second a lap if you're going to max settings compared to normal. Trying to think about doing an overtake on Ricciardo here, but there's no room to do it on this occasion, so I'll probably go to try and do what I did on the first lap. They seem to be a little bit slow going to here, so get the inside, and he doesn't actually turn in on me this time. And now we are 1 position away from being in the points, and you can see my teammate is leading the race. He's actually quite a way ahead of me, so this should really be quite a good test actually, in fact, to see how fast they really are. But this track is definitely one of my favourite tracks on the calendar, that is no secret. So I feel my pace should be pretty good around here, and I'm trying to do overtakes in a most realistic way as possible, if that makes any sense. Not to try and really cheat the game. You know, if I went off the start and just overtook 10 people into turn 3, that's why I left a little bit of a gap. So let's try and do it in as fair way as possible. Going through here, I do a little bit of a tight line, first gear, and then double shift into third gear. As I can see, I was about to say give me good traction, but we do lose it ever so slightly. You can see going up into overtake, and then again not really using the ERS when you don't need to, as we go massively down the inside. That was absolutely out of nowhere. I actually forgot I did that move, but that was a very nice move to get Hulkenberg into there. But with the ERS usage in this game, it's incredibly easy to stay with someone in DRS. So that's why I feel it's really important to not overuse the ERS, which I see a lot of people do. A lot of people just expend it when they really do not need to, because putting it lower doesn't only give you more power at the end of the race potentially, but it actually helps your tyre wear and just tyre temps and stuff as well. You can see putting it into overtake, and then you probably see now that I'm actually going to put it down, or pretty quickly after this, you already put it down and go down the inside of signs into there, and now we're into P9 this race, and the AI a little bit unpredictable in this kind of scenario, so we're just going to take a little bit of time coming to here, but I think you're going to see a prime example if you're not fully ahead of the AI, and you can see they just turn in on you like you were just absolutely nothing. You have to be completely ahead of them, really. Like, even if I was alongside them, he would have turned into me there. So, you know, you really need to be decisive when you actually do overtake them. And now I'm trying to set him up quite nicely for a move going into turn 2, and this time I'm ahead of him, but he's still turning it ever so slightly and going onto the back of my car as well. But that should easily be the move done and dusted here. And yeah, so moving on to Lando Norris now, putting it into lean and no ERS, just to give me some very good traction coming off these corners. You'll be able to see carrying a lot of speed on the apex. Really, really nice exit, short shifting into 4th gear just to minimise that wheel spin and really bumping up. And this should be another pretty easy move into the old tail 1, and I'm far enough alongside where he's not really going to give me too much hassle. Putting it into lean and no ERS, because there's no way I'm going to overtake him going into here, but I might try into the left-hander again, which I don't do in this occasion. Might as well just wait to the DRS straight, conserving my fuel and ERS as well. And since I'm already so close to him, I'm not going to even put it up into hot lap overtake. There really is no need. And just putting it down to no ERS. You can put it down to no ERS. Now, 3/4 up the straight, you're not really going to be losing that much time at all, and it really will save you a ton of ERS and throughout the lap itself. But now we have some clean air to chase down the Red Bulls, Ferraris and my teammate. Let's see what kind of pace I can do now, and we'll kind of go talk through the lap as well. So completely flat out through this turn 1, looking at the 100-meter boards. As I hit that 3rd gear, just before we hit the apex, I go back to middle of the track, 1st gear, and then double shift into 3rd gear. That gives me some very, very nice traction coming off here. Now, I changed the fuel first before I changed the ERS. That's just a little habit that I've developed. And then you can see going back down the ERS and then back down on the fuel. You don't lose any time throughout the corners when you're actually doing this. You just gain a slight bit of traction, but the main thing is you're just saving that fuel in ERS. And if you're doing that every single lap over the course of a race, you're just going to be saving a lot, and that is just crucial in a league race, especially when you're in clean air. In this game, if you're in clean air and you're the race leader and you can manage your ERS effectively, not only can you gain a lot of lap time, but if someone actually starts to press you, starts to attack you, you'll have someone reserved to defend. And it doesn't matter how good you are. If I'm going against someone like Jarno Opmeer and he has 10% ERS and I have 90, and I put it on hot lap for a lap, he's not going to be able to stay with me at all. So it's really crucial that I always like to kind of hold always minimum 30% ERS at all times, really. Like, if you go below 20, that's when you actually start to lose power on the straights. If you haven't noticed that already when you're on a qualifying lap or something like that, if you go under 20, that's when you start to lose it. And we pump in a 1:29.2, which is a pretty nice time on these tyres as well. And we've already caught up to the back of the Red Bulls here, but we really need to get a little bit of a move on, because the AI are pretty quick around this track, despite a track that I really, really do enjoy. And let's see what our straight line speed is going to be like coming through into this one here. I don't think we're going to get to him in this one because he's got the DRS on Verstappen, but when the AI pull out like that, it kind of really makes the other one behind quite sensitive as we go into the back of him actually. But then hopefully that should give us quite a good exit. No pressure from behind or anything whatsoever. Just checking for damage here, and in a 25% race, you could even do the whole race as soft as you want to. And again, the AI really like to go side by side on quite a few awkward corners, and I'm predicting that Verstappen's going to be quite slow going through this right hand here, which he is. So we're not going to try and overtake him with his right hander. We're just going to patiently wait onto the exit straight, and we're going to try and get both of these. Because the Mercedes in a straight line is just an absolute beast. We're going to get 1 and then 2 going into here at the end of hang straight, and that is the move done. Short downshifting in 4th gear just to get a little extra rotation, go into the middle of the track just to try and deter the AI from actually coming back at me. And now let's go on for another lap, a clean lap, and see what we can do in clear air. There's about a 4-second gap now to Sebastian Vettel, so let's see what we can do. Using high, which I think most of the time in a league race you can really get away with. Using hot lap will gain you maybe over a course of an entire lap, maybe 2 tenths or 3 tenths, but maybe bumping up into hot lap and then putting it back down into high, you can see putting it into overtake, and then before you end of the straight, quite a way before you end of the straight, I put it back down again. You're not really going to lose too much time at all, and quite often high is actually very good for coming off corners as well. But you can see being quite consistent so far, putting it back into high, not into hot lap and overtake. There's no real need to at this point at all. And you can see putting it back down into no ERS for the old turn 1, because if you actually put it too high, you'll be carrying too much speed and you'll actually have to get off the power going through the corner itself. So in a way that actually helps you carry more speed throughout the corner while saving more ERS, which is a little tip to do through here. And back into high, you can see our lap time only 2 tenths down from our fastest lap, and we've gained about 6 tenths already on this leading trio. Always going no ERS throughout the corners itself, and someone has pitted as well. I think that is Sebastian Vettel was actually pitted, and using all the curb on the exits or on the entry to that corner. I learnt that from Jarno Opmeer around here. I find that gains me quite a bit of time round Silverstone, and it's a very easy flat out turn going through into turn 1. So now we just got to try and catch these guys as much as we possibly can, going out a bit wider this time, first gear, and then using, well, not double shifting that time. Sometimes you can, sometimes it's just all about feeling, really just a line that you actually do. And I can see the guys up ahead are actually starting to battle a little bit. So let's see what the lap time is now. I think that's about 3.6 seconds or something like that. So we've still got a little bit of time to find, but the pace is still pretty decent at this point. And my thoughts on the AI pace are pretty solid. I'd say a casual player who hasn't had that much experience in the game would probably find this quite challenging. For me, it's reasonably challenging. It would have been a lot more challenging if the AI hadn't, don't really hold each other up too much or make any stupid overtakes and slow each other down in really weird parts of the track. But no, I'd say this is reasonably-ish challenging, but it seems that the AI kind of conserve their ERS at really different points. Sometimes they run max ERS for a lap and then just don't run any whatsoever, and yeah, I think that is one of the main issues here. But I think you can see visually we are starting to close in, and let's see what the gap is now coming across the line. And you can see being very consistent still. I think they gained about a second or something of that lap here. It definitely seems to be when they're very close together, that's when they lose the most lap time. And the tyres are still going pretty strong. Even in 50%, you can actually go quite a way on the soft tyres, and quite often you don't really get that much of an undercut. It's actually better to do sometimes an overcut around this track as well. And electing to pit this lap because I feel this is probably in a good range where tyres might slowly start to be going off, and I don't think we've gained that much time in the first sector. They seem to have very good traction, the AI. That's what I noticed, very, very good traction, but it's just through the actual twisty corners itself, that's when it seems to be struggling a little bit more. So going through to here, going completely flat out with the stock set, but quite reasonably comfortably flat out. You just need to get the line right, and going through this here, completely flat out again, going down into 6th gear, and at this point we're driving pretty well, going slightly out wide there, but the lap is still pretty good. And you can see only 4 attempts down away from our best lap, and again, I don't think we're gaining too much time in them because I don't seem to be battling too much. But let's see if they go into the pits, and they both go into the pits. So I really wanted to pit that lap, so now I've actually got to really push on this lap itself. And how much ERS have I got? I haven't got too much ERS. Even if you're just using high, it's quite easy to lose it, and still in the 29s as well. So still keeping up that consistency and hoping that they come out in a little bit of traffic, but just trying to apply the same braking points, just the same lines every single time. And you really want to be driving like you're on scale electrics, and revving out in 2nd gear this time, going up through the gears now and not using hot lap and overtake, because I really want to use it to the end of the race so we actually get a track limit warning. I think it's our second one as well, so have to be a little bit careful to not get a penalty in this race. But no, we've got a big gap to the cars behind, which should be enough to not get held in the pits. It's normally from about 4.5 to 5.5 seconds, that kind of windows, when you could be likely be held in the pits by another car who's coming in behind you. And again, having to let off a little bit this time, probably could have gone flat out, but as the tyres are going off, the grip is slowly starting to wear away now. And yeah, 6th gear again, taking a nicer line this time, being a little bit tighter, and a very, very nice exit as well. And you can see, losing about a 10th from the previous lap now, and we're going to try and make up as much time as possible going into this pit entry, because the AI are pretty quick on the cold tyres as well. So coming into here, making sure the ERS and the fuel all are down as much as possible, and that was a very, very nice entry into the pits now. And let's see what we can do. You can see the tyres are reasonably worn. They're not really too bad or anything at this stage at all, but let's see how quickly we can actually come out of this one. Let's see now, and yep, not too bad, about 2.7 seconds, which is pretty standard. And now we've just got to wait to see how close, or if you've gained any time whatsoever. But we only do have 2 laps to go in this race, going on the medium tyres, as Albon has gone on the hards. No idea why he's done that. You can see they've come through now, and we're reasonably close. So I don't think we're going to be in DRS range, but we have to have a really good couple of corners here and just be as close as possible. If I can get the DRS of these 2 Ferraris, then I might have a chance at my teammate towards the end of the race here. And I think, as long as we have a good middle sector, we should easily be in the DRS zone of these 2 Ferraris. And I think we're definitely going to be now, because they actually started the battle a little bit. So this is absolutely perfect for me now, and taking a really wide line, trying to get a really nice exit, which we do. And you can see no need to go up into high ERS at all, because we're already in a little bit of a slipstream. So I'm just trying to conserve it as much as I possibly can here, and a little bit of dirty air, so a little bit more understeer than usual from the cars ahead. And if I can get one of these cars on this straight, which I should definitely be able to do now, then that would be pretty good. And trying to get a nice exit up here, have to pull it into hot lap, because the Ferrari is pretty quick in a straight line into overtake. It's going to be pretty much a repeat like I did on the Red Bull drivers. Try and do a nice clean move down the inside 4th gear, just a little bit extra bite, just about staying on the track. Luckily don't have to defend on this occasion. And now starting the penultimate lap of this race, this is actually going to be quite a good lap, because the AI are pretty quick. If they're ramping up the ERS, they are actually very, very quick, because we do a purple last sector. So now I've got to make sure I have to get in the DRS zone by the end of this lap now. So I'm using exactly the same strategy as I do every single corner, always running lean and no ERS. That just gives me the best traction possible. Although if you did run hot lap, you could control it, you would probably get a slightly better exit, but it's better to use more ERS on the straights itself. But moving on to this now, we are slowly catching up to the back of our teammate. And the whole purpose of this video is just to give you some raw insight into how I drive, how I manage my fuel, my ERS, and just around this track in particular. So if you do want to see more of these, then please let me know which one you want to do next. I'll probably do maybe Monaco or Singapore. I think I'll be quite interested in against the 110 AI around here, but also to have a gauge of how fast they are. And something I've touched on in the during this video itself, I feel that for a casual player, they would definitely be relatively competitive, and definitely has to make you work for something, at least if you're an experienced player like myself here. But going right onto the back of Bottas, and you can see down that previous straight, I used hardly any ERS, because again, if there's no opportunity to overtake and you're in the DRS zone, you might as well put it down to 0 pretty quickly, because you're just wasting it. There's no opportunity to overtake. There really is no need to use it at all here. But going through this old turn 1, using it into here, and then just applying the same tactics you do on each corner, you really want to have it inbuilt in your brain exactly what ERS and fuel combo you really are going to be needing. But coming off here, let's see how fast he is going to be in a straight line. You can see we are gaining very, very quickly. He goes semi-defensive. We just go down the inside like Vettel did to Bottas back a couple of years ago, and that was a pretty simple move going into the end of sector 1 and coming off here, getting some good traction, using all the track as much as possible. And no, we've got some fuel, we've got plenty of ERS. Unless he has a mega sector 2, it should be pretty simple, a nice easy flat out going through into here as well. And you can see, look how much time, or look how far he is behind now. No ERS going through into here, because again, no, although it's good to have that extra power, sometimes, especially on race fuel, carrying too much speed means you're actually going to have to slow down more. It's better to keep up that momentum, and that's why going for old turn 1 at times, I actually put it down to no ERS as well, because it actually gives you ultimately a better, faster line going through here. I leave it in 6th gear going to here just to get a little bit of engine braking, and then going to here making sure I'm hugging this inside curb and coming off this last corner now. We have started last this race and coming across the line, setting the quickest up of a 1:28.4 to finish it off. That is my attempt against 110 AI round Silverstone, and I really hope you enjoyed that and you found that useful as well. Just some raw footage of me driving. Let me know which one you want me to do next. Thank you so much for the support as always on my videos. There will be a league race live stream, TSRL round 6 at Canada this Friday, along with a league racing video this Thursday coming up. But I really enjoyed this, something a little bit different. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you soon. Peace.